Starting to stream now, and I think we should be live. Let me give a second. I'll just double check on my end. Just all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
while I let things kind of trickle in, welcome to again the No Agenda Hockey Podcast. I am Captain
After dark.
Paul. After dark. Can't fart after dark. And I'm Captain Paul, and this is my co-host and good friend here, freaking Chief. How you doing, buddy? I actually gotta adjust.
Not too bad. I feel like goat-ass, but other than that,
Not
I'm here
feeling
for the
too.
kids.
Not feeling too well.
I got a sinus infection because it's stupid.
That's kind of rough. That is definitely rough.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just kind of make sure
Balls.
it's live, and I think you'll like that thumbnail. I think it's pretty funny. All right.
Dude, that thumbnail's classic.
So let's kind of talk about that. So I already did a video covering kind of the Bruins and their win against the Ottawa Senators, but an interesting thing happened during that game. Marchand put his, hand on the neck of Cousins. He was put his hand around his throat, and there's already been some videos because why not? You gotta try to get that clickbait. I respect it, but you saw the clip, you saw the highlight. Before I get into it, because I don't want to seem like a biased Bruins fan, what did you think of it?
Why is anybody surprised? He licked Subban. Like, it's just a gradual progression. I mean, is it a good optic for the NHL? No.
He licked Subban. What the? I mean, he has lick guys, so I mean, I can't even really deny that. I mean, listen, it's.
Why is any of this? Why does this surprise anybody?
It shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, listen, it's not a good look. It's
a horrible look.
It's definitely not a good look. I think for me, when I look at Brad Marchand, is I like him as a player. I think that he's the type of player you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against him. But to be kind of blunt, I don't think he's necessarily the best captain of a team. And I know he's had the alternate. I know he's had the A on his sweater. I get that. But when it comes to Brad Marchand, I don't know. It just seems like for whatever reason this team's not firing on all cylinders. But as for this incident, it's like Cousins is known as a kind of a ratty type of grimy type player. I could understand some frustration getting in, but you can't just like grab a guy by the throat. Like this isn't the 80s or the 90s where you just could get away with that type of crap.
Yeah. And it's an even worse optic for him because he wears the C. Now, this is something I had just thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that gets the C yanked?
No. I mean, who are you going to replace Marchand as captain? Are you like, we're going to put McAvoy? I mean,
that's your only logical.
Yeah, I mean, like to me, McAvoy would probably be the next guy up. I don't see that happening because when you give Marchand the C, you kind of knew this would be part of his game. And I'll actually be kind of blunt. When Marchand's not playing on an edge and not doing, I hate to say it this way, doing this type of things, like he's not on his game. I mean, he gets more locked in when he's just playing with an edge. And
Marchand being Marchand?
Yeah, it's just Marchand being Marchand. It's like Manny being Manny with the Red Sox, right? Like, you just gotta accept it for what it is. I just, he's in the final year of his deal. We'll see how things go, but maybe a suspension comes down from this. I don't, it's a bad look, but do I think it's like some massive, like you just beat him with the end of his stick? No. So, I mean, we'll see where that goes. I mean, do you think that's going to be worth a suspension?
I think so.
Really?
He'll at least get a game or two. Yeah, because it's making the product look bad.
Fair.
And, Bettman's going to be like, oh, we're going to be having any of these shenanigans. Bettman is like the weak-willed dad you had in your friend group. You're one of your friend's dads. I was just like, oh, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. So
yeah, he's got to catch. If it's not discipline, if it's not a suspension, it's definitely a fine.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense in that regard. You gotta kind of have some type of punishment for him, but I'm not
Yeah, I
overly
don't think they're
surprised.
going to go crazy about it.
I just can't believe you ever licked somebody. I mean, I'm saying as a Bruins fan, like, just imagine, like, I've never been on the ice. And I'm like, fucking follow your nose, lick these hoes. Like nobody's ever really, like, that's never like crossed my mind when I'm playing somebody. Like, what are we doing? And I love
We're going
Marshawn,
to lick them.
so yeah, it's very peculiar. So let's we had to kind of talk about that because it just happened. But
Yeah,
you
and
go ahead, sorry.
the fine. I think it's at least a fine.
Yeah,
At least a fine.
probably. Probably whatever they can get them in fines, they'll do that.
Yeah.
So you brought this up, not me, funny enough, but after the Devils spanked my team, and mind you, we beat the Senators tonight, and now we're third in the Atlantic because that's how close it is. You brought up this topic about the Bruins possibly being sellers.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think the next. I think you'll have a better idea of this before Four Nations.
Yeah.
Now, the Bruins are probably one of my favorite East Coast teams. I wish no ill will upon you, but there is not. You guys just haven't had a level of consistency that
No.
has shown me the fact that you guys are going to flirt with a wild card.
Yeah.
And it's a shitty thing to say, but I don't think I'm like that far off on it.
I wouldn't say you are. This team is maddening for a lot of different
Yeah.
reasons because some nights they'll show up and they'll play a good 200-foot game against the Devils, right? They just defensively broke down. And some of that is because they couldn't get the puck out of their own end and the Devils were just hemming them in, so there's going to
Yep.
eventually be breakdowns. When I just objectively, and I've been very blessed as a Bruins fan to see a lot of success over the years, and we just won only one cup, and I just say, oh, it's only one cup. I mean, still Stanley Cup, but we had a lot of deep runs. It's just a matter of time when things like this happen, where the team kind of falls apart, and it just ages. Core players move on. Core players like
Mm-hmm.
Krejci and Bergeron retire, and you're in this transition period. I think that year when they overachieved once Bergeron and Krejci left some fans with some false sense of hope because you had third liners performing like first liners. And I
Yeah.
mean, Charlie Coyle has regressed massively. And the guys they
Fuck
brought
him.
in, like Elias Lindholm, he has not been good. And to be fair to the Bruins, well, they have missed McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm, like some of their best defenders right now. Lindholm's been out for a long period of time. This roster is just not great. It's a good roster. It's an okay roster. They should be a little bit better than what they've been performing the last few months, but I just, for me, I don't view this team as a Stanley Cup contender. And then it gets into that honest conversation. Would you be better off selling some of these players for picks or for draft
Yeah.
capital or for some young prospects? Because Morgan Geekie, he's been on an absolute tear. Him, Pasternak, and
Yeah.
Zaka have been the number one line for the Bruins, but he's an unrestricted free agent. Like, let's say he just stays on a heater and scores 20 plus goals. What will he want as a free agent? Would you be better off trading him? There's there's conversations to be held there and to be had, I should say. It's just it'll be interesting if the Bruins go on a little bit of a win streak here and kind of give themselves a little bit of a buffer. I don't necessarily know if I want them to buy regardless because why give up futures for just maybe a first round or second round exit? You get what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
I think the Bruins, they sold their draft picks when they were in the quote unquote cup window when everybody was still there and they had the gang together. For me, whatever happens with this team is a good thing. And depending on how far they go, it is what it is. Like if you can get like a cheap option, like a Taylor Hall from Chicago, and have them
Yeah.
retain half, or like maybe a fourth round pick or something, I'm like, fine, send it that way because it's not a valuable pick. But I just don't want to see the Bruins trade any like high draft picks, first or second rounders for a first or second round exit.
Exactly. I think you have to look more long term.
Yeah, agreed.
I think whatever you can get this year, you take.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, that being said, you might Swim might go on a hell of a heater. Last week or two of the regular season carries on to the playoffs. He stands on your head, and you're going to ride that till she bucks.
yeah. I'm.
Um,
I agree.
and that's your best case scenario. Pasternak looks like Pasternak from the year that you guys set the scoring record.
He's been
Or not the scoring record, but the points
points
record.
record. I know what you meant though.
Yeah. You get that back, then hey, there's a conversation to be had. But are you going to leverage so much to get there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part about it is, how much are you willing to give up to get there?
To me,
because what you do now might hose yourself in a year or two.
And that's the thing I don't want to see happen. See, the Bruins, I mean, they got some okay prospects, in the system. And I think that Matthew Poitras, for example, a guy that's back in the NHL, I think he could, as a decent ceiling to be a very, very good second line center.
Yeah.
But the Bruins don't have a crap load of prospects. I think they'd be better off investing in the future. And this might sound a little bit crazy to some Bruins fans. Like if I could find a team to acquire Morgan Geekie for a second round pick or something like that nature, even a first round pick, I don't think that happens. I would do it. Because I think for me, at this point in time, the Bruins need to start embracing the youth movement. Now, I will say on the flip side, with Zacha,
I don't think you trade him.
With Zacha, Geekie, and Pasternak actually looking pretty good together, I could also say, like, yeah, you trade him, but then that kind of messes up the whole line, and then, maybe you upset Pasternak. But I would be open up to dealing pretty much anybody on this roster. I actually think the big guy they should probably trade would be Korpisalo, and just because he's got a cap hit of around $3 or so million, and they have a guy in the AHL, Michael DiPietro. He was a Vancouver Canucks prospect, who I think he has a .930 save percentage in the AHL. I think he'd be fine and serviceable as a backup at the NHL level. He was actually looked at pretty highly at one point until the pandemic year messed up his development with the Canucks. But, I think you trade Korpisalo, and really kind of anybody reasonable be on the table to at least get some type of draft capital back, in my opinion.
I don't think you're wrong. I am going to strongly disagree on the Geekie trade. I think you need to keep that kid because he's somebody that could potentially get you 20, 25 goals a year, and it's not going to cost you a hell of a lot.
It just depends on how much he wants. You know what I mean? And that's really where the sticking point is for me, because I would like to see him back. He started out the season cold. He's kind of rounded into form, and if he can be just a good complementary piece for Zacha and Pasternak, who like playing together, I'm fine with it. It's just I'm not paying Morgan Geekie like $6-7 million, like something crazy.
No,
I
think realistically, what's he getting paid right now? I haven't looked.
I would have to let me check right now. I'll check on Puckpedia exactly how much his salary cap. It's not a ton, if I remember correctly. I think it's only a few million. I think 2 or 3 million, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But let me look right now. What Geekie is making? Geekie is making 2 million. 2 million, and he's an RFA. Actually, he's not. He's an RFA. He's not an RFA.
You get ahead of that. You say we'll give you 3.25.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean,
on a 3-year deal at 3.25, and show us what you got.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually kind of fine with that.
You give him the Missouri contract. Show me.
Yep, the show me contract.
Show me state. Yeah.
Sure.
And hey, if you exceed, goals that are set for you, then hey, we could possibly talk about 4.5, maybe even 5.
Really? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think if Geeky has a good year, I'd be fine with maybe 3.54 at the most. But if he finishes out the year strong. But I mean, yeah, I mean, looking at him, he's 26. I think it would be a good idea to keep him. I'm just saying, if you can get, like, looking at the Bruins roster, like a Charlie Coyle who has a no movement clause, so I don't think he'll want out of Boston. He's from Weymouth. He's
Yeah, fuck
32.
that dude.
He's 32. Max Jones, I mean, he's kind of been a failed experiment. On the back end, again, some guys with some no movement clauses and things of that nature. I could take or leave Andrew Peak, who's 2.75 million. I think he's an okay defenseman. I think he's a solid bottom pairing guy, but I think there's probably better guys. I think there's guys in the system that could fill his role, but he brings a little bit of a physicality, a little bit of a jam to that decor. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, I think the Bruins. I still believe, even if the Bruins are in playoff position, if a good deal comes and they could get another first round or high second round pick, I think they should listen on it, regardless if they win out.
Oh, if, I mean, if somebody's willing to pony up a first round, I think you definitely kick the tires on it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I.
But and I think that is also contingent on where that team is drafted.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, if there's a really bad team, which is, for example, like the Anaheim Ducks, and they offer you a second round pick, I mean, that's a high end second round pick. You get what I'm saying? So then
Yeah,
then it's like you entertain that deal. But yeah,
yeah,
you don't essentially get a third rounder. Like, you want at least a solid pick if you're going to be dealing anybody of substance, right?
yeah.
So, but sorry, quick text message hit my thing. Let's kind of change gears here. The Four Nations conversation. You brought this up because we've had the Four Nations tournament conversation, but you brought up a very interesting point, or I should say topic. What's your topic? Bring it up. Tell the people.
Well, I think there's going to be a non-de facto trade line before the Four Nations Cup
Hmm.
because isn't now are they allowed to deal during the Four Nations Cup? I don't think so, right?
I'm not 100% sure on that. I can look at it now, but I'm assuming probably not. There's most likely some type of roster freeze.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So I think in the days preceding that, them taking the break for the Four Nations, I wouldn't be surprised if guys that either A didn't make the team or not are on a nation that's not involved in it. I think there's going to be more movement than people think.
Oh, there is no restrictions against making trades during the tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy schnitzel. So
So
it's going to be more interesting, the tournament or the trades?
listen, I think the tournament might warm me up a little bit after the fact. That okay, we'll watch it, and I think it will be cool to see best on best. That will be fun. I'll fully admit, seeing like best in the world against best in the world will be good to see. But yeah, it will make trades very interesting, because just imagine you're like middle of a game, player gets dealt, like, oh, this guy's now, he goes from I don't know, Florida, or goes from the Oilers to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd just be interesting to see kind of what
And
comes along with
then,
it.
and the funny thing is, in the intermission report, you get more about the trade than the game.
Jesus, because it's fun. We're a little bit similar on this. I'm lukewarm on Four Nations. I think it's a cool concept, and I'm excited that there's again, best on best. It's just, God, I'm an old man yelling at the sky. For me personally, unless it's like the Olympics, or it's
Yeah,
international tournament play, it doesn't have the same.
pizzazz.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same pizzazz. That was kind of the fun part about the WIHF, those tournaments with the under 18, right, under 20 actually.
Yeah,
It was just fun hockey, because you have kids battling to win their nation a gold medal, and I
yeah.
think that's cool. So, and plus with the nations, you kind of leave out a few teams, which would have made it interesting. But that's neither here nor there.
and I'll be interested to see just if it's gonna be people are gonna be as willing to deal as I think they might.
Yeah, it's
'Cause I think there's a chance you could get some some whoppers of a deal going down because essentially you got 2 weeks of dead space for everybody else that's not in this thing.
it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens at the trade deadline because I'm pulling up Puckpedia on my phone right now and to see because there's a lot of teams with like not much cap space. I mean, your team is one of them actually. Well, actually, your team has
Mm-hmm.
4.59 million, but I think that's because you have somebody
Yeah,
on IR. But
yeah.
if we're thinking about the top end teams, Minnesota Wild has $100,000. Florida has 283. Toronto has 442,000. Islanders 507,000. Vegas 742K. Dallas 1. Carolina, Ottawa 1.5, 1.73. I mean, you have some teams with a little bit of space to make something happen, but I'm not sure if there's some big blockbuster on the way. I mean, looking at the Kings, they have that's got to be because of injury. I'm assuming. Hold on a second, because that's why. Because Drew Doughty's Drew Doughty's LTIR. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's some there's some moves you can kind of make here, but
Yeah. And I think the Kings are definitely buying because they're kind of in the thick of it right now.
Kings are a good team. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a
It makes me feel like a dick for saying this. It's like them and Vegas. It's just I know Vegas has Jack Eichel and he's fantastic. The Kings have an aging Kopitar. Byfield's got a lot of promise, but it makes you wonder like how these guys keep winning at this rate.
because
I mean, system, right?
well, I think it's system. It's a
And
defensive system.
goaltending.
I mean, Kemper's had like because they got Kemper, who's having a great bounce back year. I mean, 924 save percentage, a 2.06 goals against average in 24 games played. Kemper's had a good bounce back with the Washington Capitals where he was just abysmal. I think for me, it's definitely the defensive system in front of these goaltenders, and it's just Kopitar. I mean, Kopitar, man, while he's getting long in the tooth, he's still so freaking good. He's just so good. He's one of the best
Patrick
centers.
Bergeron light.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's one of the best centers. He's big, 6'4". I mean, I'm gonna pull up his stats right now. Right now in the season, 12 goals, 31 assists for 43 points in 45 games, almost a point per game player. Yeah, I mean, Kovatar is one of the best. Is the best. Yeah, yeah. I'll say one of the best because you can argue like Crosby and other people, but like one of the best two-way centers in the game right now, and he can still give you a ton of offense as well. And yeah, the Kings could be in a position to kind of try to bring somebody in, and but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, is there anybody that kind of talking about trades? So you've heard about the JT Miller sweepstakes, right?
Yeah, but I mean, what's his cap hit's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, JT Miller's cap hit as of right now. Let me pull it up. I think is it 8 or hold on. I'll pull it up now. JT Miller's
6 million,
no, it's 8 million.
8 million.
And his contract goes
Oof.
and it through the roof, and he
Oof.
could becomes a UFA at 2030. But JT Miller at 31, he's a very good player, very good offensive player. It's just he's
Um,
got 5 more years after this one on that deal, and
that's brutal.
yeah, that's
I mean, that's just rough.
so. I actually I'm on a Bruins fan page and I'm on a Bruins fan page, and actually, this guy, it was one of the admins. He was kind of showing me the sweepstakes for what JT Miller. So this is the crazy part. I'm trying to pull it up here. The I believe it was, yeah, this is what it was. So the New York Rangers reportedly had a trade close to being completed with the Vancouver Canucks for JT Miller before it ultimately fell through. More information about the framework of that potential deal is coming out. According to The Athletic, Philip Hedl and Ryan Lindgren and a first-round pick could have been involved in the trade. Athletic added one source confirmed that the disagreement was on the protection structure of the first-round pick. So the Rangers wanted to be top 15, top 10 protected, and the Canucks didn't want that to be the case. So just in case the Rangers kind of fell off the map. Now, I think for the Rangers, who, by the way, have turned things around quite a lot since our last show, it makes sense for them to buy in. And I think for what they're giving up, if they're trying to win now, it makes sense. Because Philip Hedl is Philip Hedl. I just could take it or leave him. Ryan Lindgren, I mean, he's been kind of Fox's D partner. So that's, a little bit of a decrease there on defense. But he's kind of also, from reports and things, he's kind of slowed down a bit. I think the Rangers get the better player in the deal, and it would probably help sustain them. But then it would be very interesting cap wise for the future, right? Because you're tying yourself to that JT Miller contract, and you're hoping he has at least most of the rest of that contract. He's still a productive player, and I'll just say it. The guy's always had. It seems like he always has issues. JT Miller is one of these players. It's always something, and
Yeah.
It just. I'll say it, a locker room cancer, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? It just seems like everywhere he goes, there's some type of issue. And
Yeah, somebody's panties getting a twist with this kid.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. I just because we'll never know exactly all the circumstances surrounding the Elias Pettersson JT Miller thing.
Right.
If he's really that toxic to be around, I mean, I know the Rangers have enough to possibly supplant that, but they're also, I think,
Rangers have also had massive locker room issues and just more to do with the front office. I mean, they fucked over Goudreau. Let's just call that what that is, right? They treated him like shit, got him out the door. I mean, you saw what they did to Trouba, their captain, right? I mean, it's regardless if you wanted those players gone. I thought Goudreau was overpaid. I think
Las Vegas Knights, the Knights West or East. I mean, pardon me.
Yeah, it's just I could understand. There's been probably some issues there, and I think maybe it played a little bit of factor into why the Rangers were underperforming so poorly. But I like JT Miller's talent on the ice. I'm just not sure if he's worth the headache, especially when you're kind of having this anchor of a deal where if you're stuck kind of having to deal him, then you're dealing with like retaining cap in a future deal, most likely, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Vancouver's not going to retain any cap because they're currently trying to compete for a cup in the next few years. They feel like their windows now and in the future. And I think that would have been a fair deal.
I think they would have just hosed them. I think the Rangers dodged a bullet. I really do. Yeah, he's a talent and he's put up points. But what are you willing to deal with to get that? And who's even to say he's going to return to that level of production?
I mean, he had 100 points last year. He had a great year.
Yeah.
This year, he's flirting around a point per game. He's a good player.
Yeah, he is a good player.
Is
he going to be able to fit in a Rangers team that's much different from when he left.
I just,
That's my question. How's he going to fit?
it's just kind of, it's one of those situations that I'm not sure. I'm not. I think it's weird.
And
I'll say this: JT Miller, if he went to the Rangers now, I think that's an instant upgrade offensively, and it gives them a much needed punch. Right? I'll say that. But at the same time, I think if the Rangers don't win a cup off this deal in the first next year or so, I'm not sure how well this will age. And then it's like again, Miller just there's always a problem. It seems like I don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
I think that because of that contract that's being taken on, what they're going to have to give up, everything that goes along with that, I don't think the Rangers can pull the trigger on that. Because I know no deal is perfect, but you're going to get a great player, but you're also getting the cons of that is you're getting cap, a pretty sizable cap hit. And on top of that, you're also getting a dude that is sketchy in the room.
yeah.
Can you do that?
It's just it will just be very interesting because it's like there's no denying the guy's got great offensive ability,
Yeah.
but he's just good player. I hate to say it, there's just some guys that just most likely are not worth the headache. And
Yeah.
for a point, I was like, I'd be interested in like Pedersen if he became available. I made a video for that for the Bruins, and you disagree with that trade, which was funny. But that is what it is. We disagreed on that because I'd rather go with youth. And maybe I'm being unfair to Miller. Maybe he's just a very vocal dude that's just kind of calls it how it sees it.
Passionate.
I mean that's also a factor, but it's for a guy so talented. How many teams now is this for Miller?
Jesus.
That's a
I'd have
genuine.
to look.
I'm gonna look right now because that's
Yeah.
like for a guy so gifted and so talented.
He bounces around quite a bit.
He was because he started with the Rangers, went to the Lightning, now to Vancouver, then he go back to the Rangers. If a guy, I mean, he kind of came into his own with the Rangers, and then he goes to Tampa. And he goes from Tampa. Well, I mean, he wasn't what he was, to be fair, with the Canucks recently. That when he was with the other teams, he was like a solid player. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that happens. And if JT Miller doesn't go to the Ranger because he has a no trade clause, I guess he's open to moving to the Devils. And I don't know if I do that if I'm the Devils. Because the Devils have a lot of good deals with young players. I wouldn't touch my
Yeah.
roster if I'm the Devils, personally.
No.
I think they're.
I mean, who would he go back to Tampa?
I don't think Tampa could really afford him.
I don't think Tampa could afford him either.
Yeah, I don't think.
Has
I think he said New Jersey, New York, and I want to say the Islanders. I don't think the Islanders. I think that's wrong. But there's another team in that mix that he'd go to. And
now here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Has the contract that the Vancouver Canucks given him priced him out of really being traded anywhere? I'm inclined to say yes.
Yeah, I mean it's because it's a big cap hit on a 31-year-old player.
Yeah.
That's the problem here. Is
Yeah.
if JT Miller had 3 to 4 years left on this, like 3 years on this deal, then you can digest it because you get the rest of his prime, right?
Yeah.
Because usually when you hit 35 and older, you start declining because, father time and all that stuff. Unless you're Sidney Crosby, who stays being elite.
Ageless.
And same Ovechkin. I mean, he's had a resurgence. He had another. It was an empty net goal tonight, but he had another goal. He's only 20 away from getting the record or tying the record. It's, to me, that's what's expected. But the problem is now you're locked into these extra years.
Yep.
An extra 5. I mean, there could be a couple years where you regret that deal, and
Yeah.
you're hoping.
And it's going to be 29-30 season probably.
Yeah, and then also I'll say this clearly too, the salary cap will go up next year, and it's reported to go maybe possibly up to 9 mil or so. But what people don't understand too is with them having to renegotiate soon with the players, you could see people keep expecting to jump up 5-10 mil each year. We could see a couple years, and experts have said it could slow down, maybe just a 1 to 2 million bump certain years. So we kind of have to hedge our bets a bit and not just rely on, because there's been the argument oh well, in a few years that contract won't be that big of a deal. I'm like, we're not sure. I mean, we weren't, nobody factored in we were going to hit with a pandemic, right? So
yeah,
you never want to kind of just guess on,
I really do. And now the more I'm just sitting here thinking about it. Do you have to trade Pettersson because there's no way you can trade JT Miller?
Well, and this is the only year Pettersson has a no movement clause or no trade clause on his deal. It kicks in next year. So if you remove Pettersson, it's going to be,
got to do it now.
Got to do it now. But at the same time, why would you move off of a young, really good player, right? It wouldn't make it wouldn't make much sense.
Then that strengthens even more now that we've kind of hashed this all out. The fact that do they bring somebody in to be the cooler, to be Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse? Until Swayze. Tell both these kids, you need to chill the fuck out.
Listen, I've worked with people I fucking hate. And this is where it comes to, just to bluntly, this is how I feel on this, right? I think both of them are bitches for not just sucking it up and working with each other. I'm just being blunt. It's late. It's almost 2:30 in the morning, so a little bit. I'm just gonna be clear. There's people I don't fucking like I work with that are lazy sacks of shit. That is life. You work with people and deal with people you don't like. And people are like, well, you don't live with them. Well, I hate to tell you people, I live on boats half the year because that's the line of my work. I actually live with these people, and some of them I want to fucking throttle. You deal with it, and you know how to manage it. Being an adult is working with people and living with people you do not like. Make sure you don't marry them. I mean, I'm married to a sweetheart, so that's a good thing. But I think when it comes down to it, is you have to be both adults and kind of work towards a common goal. Did you think that everybody on these Stanley Cup winning teams, oh my God, we love you, man, you're my brother. Now there's probably some, oh man, that dude fucking Joseph, he's a dick. There were some probably people that got under people's skins, and it's just do your job. Just do your job, finish the goal. You both signed a contract here. Learn to coexist. And maybe Miller's vocal, Pettersson's a little bit more shy and reserved. Maybe if Miller, because he's a little bit older, be a little bit more of the adult, be maybe on this guy I got to kind of approach things a different way. Or, to be fair, I'm just going to call out Pettersson. If he really is that soft, I'm maybe grow a sack and deal with it. I'm just,
Which, all this, so Rick Tocchet, when he played, he was shit.
Yeah.
And if anybody would understand this, you think it would be him. Which I'm thinking about this right now as we're going through all the, these trade scenarios. How did he let it get here? He had to have known.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some blame going on.
He had to have known.
There's definitely some shenanigans going on here.
Yeah.
There's no way he didn't know. And Like there's footage of Miller like sitting away from his teammates. Like it, God, it's again.
I mean, I was just, every time I see Rick Tocchet just looks like the dude that you hated to play against, but would love to have on your team.
Yeah,
I mean, how did he not squash this
because
early in the going?
I don't know. I think probably because a guy like him, to be fair, is like, oh, no, it's just dudes fucking arguing. They'll get over it, and like, and then I, God, I'm gonna
And then
sound,
it escalates into something
I'm
ridiculous.
gonna sound like a complete asshole, and I'll just say it.
Oh, that's never stopped you.
Most of the men these days around my age and younger are fucking soft as fucking Charmin, and they can't understand that, like, yeah, there's gonna be motherfuckers you don't like, and that's just life.
Yeah.
And I mean, for example, I got into a fucking screaming match with a guy on a boat once. And you know what happened? Like 5 minutes later, we moved on. We didn't even fucking talk. Like, we'd say, oh, whatever. It's the water under the bridge. Like, you're gonna have those
Yeah.
moments of fucking anger. Like, hey, don't get in the bite of that line so it doesn't rip off your line, you stupid fuck. Like, that was me because I fucking lost it on him. And he got all fucking, oh, I know what I'm doing, and he clearly didn't. Whatever. I'm sorry, being petty. I think the thing is for me, it's like, just have that moment of confrontation and then just deal with it. Either talk to him
Yeah.
about it,
Walk
like, hey,
away.
listen, I don't like the way you're speaking to me. Come at me with a different approach, or just ignore it. I mean, it's hard for me to feel pain. Like, oh my God, like these millionaires are getting bullied and he's saying mean words. Like, oh, I'm gonna cry in my Porsche. Like, I just,
I'm
if
gonna
you,
cry in my Porsche.
like, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm tired, so like I'm losing my filter.
I'm
I just
gonna cry in my Porsche.
I don't want to hear the whining. I
Yeah.
personally believe for the Vancouver Canucks, they're better off just keeping Miller and keeping Pedersen and
Yeah.
trying to make what they have going work, and maybe just bring in a guy to kind of like calm somebody down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Goodrow from the from the San Jose Sharks available? He's a good locker room guy. Maybe try to bring him in.
Oh,
I
you
don't
mean,
know.
oh, Barclay Goodrow? Yeah.
Yeah. Just bring
Yeah.
somebody in there with some character. I don't know. I don't think the Canucks. I don't
Well, and Goodrow didn't play with Miller.
know,
He was
but
after it.
I've heard he's a really good locker room guy. He's amazing in the room. Like maybe having a little bit more positivity and a guy that's been there, done that. Even though I think
Yeah.
sometimes that can be overrated. Yeah, I mean, it might be a good fucking addition. I mean, that's what I would do if I'm them. Like look into an
They need to do
established
something.
dude. Look into a affordable deal you can get San Jose to retain some of the fucking cap because they're gonna not gonna compete for anything anytime soon,
No.
and just
Or even
bring a locker
retain some
guy.
cap and a draft pick.
Yeah, I mean fair.
I mean, what, a fourth or fifth round pick, maybe?
Yeah, like nothing
Or
crazy.
more of a third.
Because yeah, I mean nothing crazy. I would like fourth round, fifth round pick, something like that, just to get Goodrow and then or whoever. I know it's somebody on a lot. I mean, hey, you know what? Brad Marchand's at the last year of his deal. If you need somebody to lick in the locker room, my man, he's perfect. You just bring Brad
Oh my
Marchand.
God.
he,
Circling back to the licking.
Listen, I was kind of concerned for Cousins when he grabbed him by the throat if he was gonna just lick him. Like, yeah, that's right. Just I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. Just establish
No.
dominance.
Licks him and says, I'll see you later.
But I'm sorry, I'm so fucking tired
Just
right now.
creepy. Just goes full creepy uncle.
Before I get out of here,
Oh
because
my
I'm fading
God.
bad. I'm fading quick. Before I get out of here, I do want your opinion on Mackenzie Blackwood. What have you thought?
I mean, the past few games, granted, it's been that I told you this homestand was going to be rough,
Yeah,
but he's been fucking aces. Oh my goodness.
he's been so
Like,
good.
there's at least 2 or 3 times a game where that's a 10 bell save. I mean, just something rabbit out of his hat, ridiculous. just
he's just so good.
sick, just sick. And I I'm 100% picking up what you were putting down 2 years ago,
Yeah.
or even longer than that. It was more like 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty high on Blackwood. I mean, and some people could argue. I mean, last 3 games has been under sub 900, but I mean, if you look at the challenges of shots he's had to face, I mean, the guy's been making some big fucking saves.
Yeah,
And
and it's not like we've been playing like, you know, Sister Mary's School of the Poor.
no,
It's, I mean, the Dinglehoffers we've been playing have just been,
good.
I mean, a stretch of, 5 solid playoff teams.
Yeah, I mean, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Edmonton, last year.
Dallas, Rangers,
I mean,
and then even Winnipeg before that on the road in Minnesota. I mean, the last technically 7 games, the past 2.5 weeks have been just hellacious.
yeah, but I do think it makes, because I think the Avs are in the first spot for the wild card, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. So I think the Avs
Yes, sir.
are going to be kind of in a situation here where I think highly of them. I think now that they have a really good goaltender, that you can really see them hit another stride, and especially when, depending on what's up with Nichushkin and when he comes back into the fold.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, when I was watching the game on TNT against the Rangers, they were saying we have the most man games missed in the NHL this year.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and it leads me to believe, I'm like, holy shit. Well, how? I mean, it's going to be hyperbole, but how many more points? I would say we'd have at least half a dozen more points if we had everybody healthy.
Probably. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. I think there's some really good players you've missed, and I will mention that once I still think the Avalanche, if they could get another like solid defenseman, I think it would benefit them greatly. I like who they have, but if they could just
Trade Bo Byram.
make it happen, I mean, it's not like the Sabres are going to win anything in the next 100 years. Like,
No.
trade them. So
No.
I mean,
Yeah, we get a draft pick for him.
this is gonna be a random subject actually too. Before we get out of here, and this is all. I apologize for throwing you curveball because I just mentioned them.
Oh, here we go.
Are the Buffalo Sabres cursed
Hit
or
me.
some shit? I
Dude,
don't
I don't know.
I don't get it because they have
Ever since they
talent.
lost to the Dallas Stars on that wonky goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, it has just been wasteland.
Yeah, Hasher got robbed.
Yeah,
You know what?
and I don't know what it is. They bring these kids in that are good, and it's just I can't explain just what the fuck is going on up there.
I think
Because Buffalo fans, some of the most passionate fans I've ever met.
no, Buffalo fans are amazing. Like, and listen, I'll say this
Yeah.
as a person from the Boston area. It's crazy. Like, Buffalo fans are hilarious, passionate, and they're like, in a lot of ways, they're like the lovable losers in a lot of sports. I mean,
Yeah.
just think about the Bills. The Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost. It's like, oh God, like, what the hell?
That's actually what I'm pulling for. I mean, even though I hate the NFL because my NFL team's a disgrace, I really want the Bills to win the Super Bowl just because I want to see Buffalo lose its mind for a good 2
Dude,
weeks
I
straight.
wanna
Nobody's
see-
showing up for work. Nobody's showing up for work. School's out. Kids just losing their fucking absolute minds. I think it'd be fantastic.
Dude, whoever makes those foldable tables, their stocks are gonna go up for that straight like 2 weeks afterwards. Just rise, just a bunch of people breaking tables, jumping from the friggin' roofs, and being like, "It's Buffalo!" But like Buffalo fans I love them. They're actually they're a passionate bunch, and I can really appreciate that, like that aspect of their
100%.
fandom. So that's why I was a year or two, a year, I think it was a year ago. I thought, like, okay, this is the year Buffalo can make the playoffs, and then they had that horrendous stretch, and again, they're not very good this year, and it's like when you look at that roster, it has talent on it. I don't
Yeah,
understand
I don't
how
either.
in the
I
hell
mean,
they can be that bad.
I I think Tage Thompson is a gem. I don't know how that big, lanky SOB does it, but God, he is just magic.
He is. He's
And I mean, if you look at just the names in their decor, Powers, Byram,
yeah.
uh, the other guy who's Rasmus
Darlene.
Dahlin.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that is a sick. On any other team, that decor is just filthy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the infuriating part if I'm a Sabres fan because like because I'm gonna pull up their roster now, and I do think they have some goaltending issues. I mean, Devin Levi, I mean he's been what he is, but he's a young goaltender. I mean UPL's been fine enough. James Reimer's their backup currently right now, but let's see depth chart, baby. Kind of go into the depth chart real quick because like looking at the roster is currently constructed. Peterka's had a solid year. Tage Thompson, I think, is a very good hockey player. Uh, Dylan Cousins, I think, he's getting paid $7 million. I actually kind of want to see what his production is, but I mean, Cousins, he's 24 years old. He's getting paid $7 million. He has 23 points in 47 games played. I mean, probably want a little bit more there. But I mean, you got Alex Tuck. He's a good player. And then they got some young guys like Benson and Quinn that I think will be good in the future. But you have on the power, on the defensive season, you have Darlene, Byram, Power, Samuelson, Connor Clifton, Yoki Haru. Connor Clifton, I will fully say this as a Bruins fan. I think he's kind of he's Jekyll and Hyde. He's an okay bottom pairing guy to have. But like looking at this roster, do I look at it and see like the worst team in the NHL? No, I think there's talent there. It's just for whatever reason they just not work. It doesn't work out.
It's mind boggling to me.
You know,
You have a lot of kids on there that just you wonder if they were on other teams, how much would they be flourishing? Imagine Tage Thompson on like the Kings.
Oh my god, him and COVID. Yeah, that would be stupid.
Yeah,
That would be stupid.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you put him on the line with Byfield
So
to start with.
I got to say, and this is probably gonna piss off some Sabres fans when I say this: were the Buffalo Sabres ever a good team?
Yeah,
Because hear me out. I think they were. I should say this: had the Sabres ever had a great team? Because in the last 30 years or so, because they've
well, that
had
year they went to the Cup. They had Pekka.
yeah, but that team wasn't a world beater. They had, in my opinion, the best goaltender to ever exist in Dominik Hasek. I think he's actually the GOAT in my opinion. But you had
Well, I
Dominik
mean,
Hasek.
he's in the discussion for sure.
I mean, it's him, Waugh, and Brodeur, my top three. But
Yeah,
I think he was so good, especially during that stretch. And
mm-hmm.
to me, it's like they were a solid team. I don't think they were great. I mean, maybe I can
I
get
can see.
corrected because I can't think of a great Sabres team outside of that. Like, what is there a team that's like stood out to you in an iteration? I mean, when they
The
had
mid '90s team when they had when LaFontaine was on there, they were good. We'll
that's a
say
oh to be fair, if it's mid 90s, you're right
mid
because
'90s.
it's 20. Okay, yeah, you're kind of okay. I'll be fair there. Yeah,
Mid '90s. I mean, LaFontaine was great, but he just kept fucking getting concussions, and it fucked his career.
LaFontaine could have been the greatest U.S. born player ever, right? If I
Oh,
remember,
yeah,
like he
yeah.
he he was he was
He was
ridiculous.
really good,
I gotta
and he used to kick the shit. When I was still a Rangers fan, before they fucking did me
I
dirty.
gotta look up his stats. Gotta look it up.
I mean, he was God. He would beat. It was just like every time Buffalo needed to go against the Rangers, it was fucking Pat LaFontaine just fucking ringing the bell.
Yeah, no, it's kind of stupid. So in 865 games played, he had 468 goals, 545 assists for 1,013 points. Uh, yeah, I mean the guy. Well, he stayed
The
in
guy
New
was
York his whole
dirty.
career because he would start out with the Islanders and Buffalo. So he stayed in New York his whole year. I respect
Yeah.
it. Same one state. But I mean, I just think they're cursed, and
Yeah.
maybe they just need a new ownership, I don't know. I don't know.
Something.
Something's got to give. Maybe just got to sacrifice a,
A
a
goat.
a goat or something, or a buffalo. I don't know. Something to kind of get them going because it's
Easy.
just being real. Just being real.
Easy.
So
You're not going to people over here.
but yeah, I'm gonna get off here, man. I'm gonna get some sleep. But
Word.
this was a late version of the No Agenda Hockey Podcast. I did see some people
Thank you for suffering through it, folks.
come into the chat. 5 viewers. Oh, what's up, Hayden? What's up? What's going on, Hayden? He's actually the guy I was talking about with the Boston Bruins fan page.
Right on.
Oh man, so it's good to see.
Thanks for stopping by, Holmes.
Absolutely, man. I'm actually planning on doing a show with him about the state of the Bruins. I think Saturday. We're just gonna kind of iron out the details. But
righteous.
absolutely, we're gonna talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're playing you guys on Saturday, and of course it's on the NHL Network, so we can't watch it.
I already had a rant about. I'm so resisting to not just go off right now because it's mind.
Dude, don't get me started. Dude, don't get me started. It's like
blowingly angry.
It's why. And you know what? I don't know if we'll get hate for this or whatever, but fuck you, NHL Network.
I liked it when I had cable. I liked watching the NHL Network. That's the only reason I even had it for a point. But it's just, I mean, shit. I have ESPN Plus. I have Nesson. I have, at least make it available on ESPN Plus or something. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Douche-waffles.
But, he'll get me ways to watch. So if he gets me a link, let's go. But, yeah, I mean, good episode. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like almost 3 a.m. for me. We kind of, this was kind of spurring.
We kind of just ran off the rails there. Big surprise, what we usually do.
Hey, I mean,
no agenda.
I'm just gonna
in full effect.
Exactly, that's the name of the fucking show. But all right, man, I appreciate everybody kind of popping through, looking at it.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
I'll probably make some clips out of this some of the stuff we said just for fun. But if you guys enjoy it, make sure to drop a like down below. It kind of helps us in the algorithm. And if you're watching this after the live stream, just let us know some topics you'd like us to cover soon. With how my boat's...
And also forgive us. Paulie's tired. I'm under the weather, so taking one for the team on this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been up for 24 straight hours at this point, so I'm...
Oh my God, dude, get some fucking sleep. What are you trying to be Breaking Bad or something? Jesus, man.
Yeah, I mean, God. So,
all right. Bathtub meth can wait, brother.
Relax. I get drug tested by the Coast Guard. I can't do that shit. So.
Which doesn't mean you can't make it.
All right, I'm out of here. All right, thank you guys for watching. You stupid, bro.
Look who you're talking to. I mean, Captain Stupid. Captain Paul and Captain Stupid.
We're dumb and dumb.
Signing off. Yes. And if you listen